And together, we are going to learn about shifting from transactional to transformative. Advent Health and GE's Healthcare's strategic relationship aims to drive clinical, operational, and financial outcomes. This is going to be so good. So let's move on over to the stage and jump right in.
Hey everybody. Welcome to Breakthroughs, huh? I wanted to start this actually by thanking my GE colleagues. You know, we're here to talk about transformational partnerships, and I want to also highlight the transformational partnership that Premier and GE Healthcare has, being a gold sponsor of this event. Actually, it's sponsors like GE Healthcare that make this event possible. So if you guys get a chance, please stop by their booth 1339 and thank them, and obviously talk more about the things that we're talking about today. I'm Dan DeBenke, Vice President, Chief Physician Executive for Premier. I lead our consulting practice, and I'm joined on stage by Monica Searcy. Monica's General Manager, National Accounts for GE Healthcare, and Steve Verdi, who's Commercial Leader for GE Healthcare Command Center. And we're going to talk about, as you saw in the preview, moving from transactional to transformational partnerships. And we're going to really kind of highlight a partnership that GE Healthcare has developed with Advent Health. So Monica, first question for you. You guys have just recently entered into a multi-year engagement partnership with Advent Healthcare around services and imaging. Can you give me some background on exactly that partnership? And then what were the goals that Advent Healthcare was trying to achieve that made them seek out GE Healthcare and work through this partnership?
Absolutely, great question, Dan, and thank you for having us here today. As we were looking to partner with Advent Health, it really started with a couple of concurrent RFPs that were being in the works at Advent Health. One was comprehensive service, and the other was for a capital equipment RFP for all imaging modalities. And through a rigorous and thorough process, GE was selected as their partner, and we signed a strategic partnership that included comprehensive service for the enterprise. GE is a preferred partner on all imaging modalities, and the partnership is stock full of value adds, digital accelerators, and really resources to drive their clinical, operational, and financial goals. But as we're talking about outcomes, Advent Health was very clear about the goals that they wanted to achieve in this partnership. And first and foremost, they were focused on patients, so providing exceptional patient care at the lowest possible cost. And in doing that, we had to wrap our arms around what were the comprehensive cost of service, because when you have a lot of different models and different vendors that you're contracting with, how do you determine that cost so that you can use that as a baseline by which to benchmark the success that you're having in achieving those cost objectives? And then the second key area was they wanted to move as an organization to an in-house service model. So they wanted a partner who had proven and successful programs, processes, and a platform, but they needed someone who was going to be flexible to work with their different markets who had unique needs to take care of their patients and make sure that they were enhancing their capabilities, building their program, and walking with them to move to a fully in-house model. And then the third thing that they were looking at is digital solutions and AI. There's a lot of data, but how could we incorporate AI into our technology to drive clinical outcomes and reduce burden for their staff, but also digital solutions that connected the different campuses and enabled them to provide consistent care. So no matter which door of Advent Health you enter, you're getting the same high-level quality of care.
That's great. So it sounds like a very robust and maybe a somewhat complex partnership. Would you say it's complex?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It was a lot of work on the behalf of both teams, and what was really exciting about it is how committed everybody was to just achieving the outcomes they set forward.
Great. So Steve, for you, obviously, partnerships like this don't develop overnight, right? They take time to nurture and to develop. Can you give us some history of the relationship of Advent Health and GE Healthcare and how you got to the point where there's this mutual trust to be able to enter into this long-term agreement?
Yeah, can do. Thank you, Dan, and thank you to Premier again for having us here. I'm going to highlight one, I think, specific moment where we really felt the relationship shifted, and that was around 2016 when GE Healthcare and Advent Health Central Florida Division came together around some key problem statements, things that Advent Health was trying to solve. And that was the spirit of this new partnership, was help us solve problems. And at that time, the focus was on topics like ED congestion, system balance across this large Advent Health Central Florida division, reducing length of stay. And the teams came together and brainstormed what we could do, how could we help. And in the spirit of bringing digital and AI into the picture, as Monica mentioned, we built together this program called the Command Center program at Advent Health. And Command Center, that program became the catalyst that shifted the relationship from selling equipment to solving problems together. And I mentioned the problems specifically we were focused on. So this program now brings together real-time analytics powered by AI, with process improvement approaches, embedding that AI into the daily work life at Advent Health, and importantly, also establishing mission control for Advent Health's Central Florida Division. So they now have a central hub, a center of gravity for operations across the system, where they are using these applications and using these new processes to manage that network. And by manage, I mean direct transfers across the system. I mean progress care as efficiently as it can through a patient's hospital stay, and really coordinating care from that central point, however possible. That relationship, it's become a foundation that we can innovate on, something we're really excited about. So we're taking that work to the next stage now, where we're building out more AI that will help them prioritize in real time all the patients in the queue for care at Advent Health. This is a complex task for an individual to do without the help of digital solutions. And so their command center is helping them now sift through those mountains of data and make these the smartest decision for the system in the moment, all day, every day. It's really exciting stuff. Really proud of the opportunity to help work together.
Great. Obviously, organizations like yours and Premier are thinking differently about partnerships. And organizations like Advent Health and members of Premier and other health systems are thinking differently about strategic partnerships. Monica, can you give us a feel for how one GE Healthcare, and maybe if you've got some insight on Advent Health, how they're thinking, how you're thinking differently about strategic partnerships?
Yeah, absolutely. And GE has been around a long time, but if we don't evolve and adapt, you don't survive. So I've seen a lot of change even in the 8 years that I've been at GE. And if I can nail it down to maybe a couple of areas, one would be flexibility. Although all of our healthcare hospitals and systems have the same end goal, which is to provide the best healthcare and healing for patients, the path that each one takes to get there is very unique and different. So GE is really focused on understanding each of our customers as an individual customer. And then the second phase of that is creativity. Once you have that knowledge and that understanding of your customer, being able to go to the table and go to the brilliant people that I work with at GE and capitalize on their expertise, their experience, and create solutions that are specific to meet the needs of that customer is how GE has evolved. And how Advent Health, they have a best practice that is amazing. It's the Advent Health Supplier Summit. and Steve and Ron and members of the team are involved in that. They bring their suppliers in on site and also have a virtual component. They share their mission, their vision, the priorities. They're very authentic and transparent about what's working well, and then where areas there's gaps that they might need help from their suppliers. And having that transparency and that information really helps us do our job to target creative solutions that fit their needs.
Yeah, I'd say, you know, from what we see from a market view standpoint from Premier, I think that there's a real hunger, whether it's in our GPO relationships, in our technology relationships, in our advisory relationships, there's a real hunger in the market now for something different than a vendor-vendee relationship, right? There's this hunger for strategic partnerships, and you know, you say that, and maybe I use air quotes, but really that it boils down at its essence to being able to align strategic priorities of both organizations, to meet the organization where they are in their journey, and then to be able to have some degree of shared risk and reward together. You know, from a Premier standpoint, I'm sure GE is the same way. We actually really like those type of relationships. The nurture cycle may be longer to get there, but once you're there, it's a very robust type of relationship that you can build off of and really significant mutual trust. So it's good to see that you guys are thinking about it differently. We know the market is definitely thinking about it differently. Kind of last question is around, you know, how can others, so if we're looking at our audience today, and many of them may be thinking about how they might want to forge a strategic relationship with a supplier or a partner, what advice can you give, Monica, to them about how to go about that? What should they look for? What are the things that are important for them as to think of as part of those relationships?
That is an excellent question. And as my colleagues in Advent Health can tell you, I tend to be a representative of the heart. So I think from the heart, I act on the heart. And just in speaking from the heart, this is an incredible opportunity, but it's also a relationship that is deeply embedded with both organizations. You're spending a ton of time together. You are trusting each other with a lot of risk and a lot's at stake for your caregivers and your patients. So the way that I see it is really thinking through with a supplier partner the same way that you would think about investing in a personal relationship, because it becomes family. So is the organization and their representatives aligned to your mission? Do they have similar values? Have you tested their say-do ratio and found it to be good? And then also, have you built trust? Like, that's the most critical part and foundation of this type of relationship is trust. So it can be incredibly beneficial and rewarding, but definitely takes a more extended period of time to make sure that you're choosing the right suppliers to partner with.
Yeah, good points. We've got a couple of minutes left for questions from the audience. Any questions from the audience? Anything you want to learn from these two about the relationship? Any details you need? If not, I want to thank you two. Certainly, they'll be around booth 1339. Feel free to stop by, learn more about GE Healthcare and all the things that they've got to offer. Again, I want to thank you too, and thank GE Healthcare for its partnership with Premier, and wish you all a good rest of breakthroughs.